Hi, I'm wonderful Sam Design, and today we're going to be talking about loops. I have four different loops on the screen, well, three. One of them is just the basic loop. The second one is a two-colored loop. It looks like three colors because I use variegated string, but it's just one color that shifts from pink to yellow. So the variegated string and the black string, and well, and our last one is going to be a section loop, but this bracelet I'm currently holding isn't section, it's like variegated string that shows different sections, but I'll show you how to make a section loop. Now, the most important thing I want you guys to know is that when you are cutting string or determining the size of your loop, it depends on the starts. Like I have a triangle star here, I have a double triangle star here, and here, well, I have a double triangle star made differently, but you can notice that the sizes of loops are all different, especially from the teardrop on the left. They're all very different because different stars have different sizes. Teardrop loops, you have to make your loop smaller because the teardrop starts takes up a wide V. And for triangle starts, you have to make your loop bigger because triangle starts bunch up your loop, like the tips of your loop go together. So I'm going to be doing this in a series where I talk about the loop. Another video will be the start, another video ends, and the last one will be ties. But let's just get started, alright? Now the two loops I have on screen, orange is teardrop and the brown one is a triangle start. But you can notice that they are basic loops, but their starts are very different, which means the sizes of their loops are very different. For the tutorial I'm going to be showing you, I'm going to be making a triangle start. So I'm going to be making it larger, but I will show you when to make it small or the size to stop if you are going to do a teardrop loop. But I think it prefers on preference and the size of both the start of your pattern, if you understand what I'm saying. But you just know that the size you need depends on what you find nice most of the time. You can make a triangle start with a very large loop, you can make it with a medium size like mine, or you can make it with a very small one. But I think you should just remember your ties have to pass through. So I'm going to tape this string down. I'm actually going to tape this down twice, one on the screen and the other one to the to the table slash ground, because I don't want this thing to shift. I don't have luck with string because I always pull them too tightly. So the more string, the more tape I use, the better for me. So I have already extended one string, extended my green string. I forgot to mention when you're making a loop, you have to extend one string because that's what you're going to use and you don't want the string to be shorter when you're making your bracelet. So starting now, I'm going to make a backward forward knot. So I've made the backward part, which is making a D and then passing your string through that D. And then the forward part is you making a 4 and passing your string under the other one and through the loop. So you're just like making opposite stitches. So a backward forward knot. Some people prefer to make a lockhead knot, I don't. And I'm going to make a backward forward knot again. So the basic thing about a loop is that you're going to be making the same knots over and over and over again. So I'm going to keep making backward forward knots until I reach the point where I have enough, or I reach the point where I think the length of the loop is okay. Something else I want to mention is that while you're making knots, it's supposed to pull your string up, like it's supposed to pull them up. But if you watch any of my videos or tutorials, and even now, you notice I pull them strictly towards the right because I usually knot on clipboard or on my bed with pins, and they typically move to the left. So I try as much as possible to knot them towards the right so that they don't shift off balance as much. It sounds weird, but it works for me. I think you should find what works for you. So that's it. That's how you make a basic loop. Just backward forward knots with your extended string. Remember to always extend one string, maybe by about 10 inches. That's much better. So now that I am done, I'm not done, but at the size I typically use for my teardrop loops, because I told you teardrop loops make your loops smaller because you're going to make the teardrop, which is a V. So it's going to be a little, well, it's going to be wide. So you don't need to make your loops very big. But now that I've shown you that, I'm going to continue extending it a little bit more, maybe till it gets to about 1.25 inches or like 1.05 inches. I'm not really sure, I don't have a standard size, but I'm just going to extend it a bit more so that when I, excuse me, so when I close it, it looks much better and it has a nice wide hole that my tie can go through, while at the same time looking pleasing to my eyes, because that's important. That's important. And this is what I ended up with. It's about 0.5 inches. Sorry, 1.5 inches. Oh my god, it's like 1.5 inches, and it's exactly the same size with the one I have on screen, which makes sense because I'm making a darker version of this one. And if you check the size of the loop, it's wide enough that covers the teardrop completely too, which is weird. Now for the next part, we're going to be showing you colored loops, which means the two color loop and three color loop. The two color loop is basically simple, and the three color loop, the only difference is that it's three colors. And I'm showing you that just in case you want to do like 4 or 5 colors and you're not like doing them in sections, you're just going to be swapping them continuously, so you can obviously see what I'm going to be showing you. And don't forget, you have to, for colored loops, you have to extend 2 strings this time, because I'm going to be showing you 2 color loop first. So I'm going to be extending 2 strings by 10 inches each. And I'm not going to be showing you how I cut the strings, since it's just a loop tutorial, and when you're ready to do your loop, you can just like cut out your string anyhow you typically would. And for this bracelet, I have 2 strings that are uneven, which means they're only going to be on one side and they're not going to be cut in half. So I just extended those 2 strings, and that's what I'm going to be using for my tutorial. So those are the 2 strings I'm going to be using for my loop here. I did that because I just wanted to. You don't have to. You can just extend any other string and make those uneven strings long enough that you can just bend them and hide them in your loop, like by pulling. But I'm not going to do that because, well, I just decided not to. Anyway, getting started. For this tutorial, I'm going to be pulling this towards the left, just to show you that the sides don't really matter as much. So I have brought out my strings, they're on the left this time, and I'm going to start with my multicolored string, moving the dark string, which is going to be dark blue actually, it just looks weird on camera, which is dark blue, and I'm going to make backward forward knots. I'm still going to be making backward forward knots regardless of the side I'm on. Backward forward knots. Now I'm going to leave this multicolored string up here. I'm going to take the dark colored string and I'm going to make backward forward knots with that. And I know you're confused because it's not supposed to look like this, but bear with me, we're coming. So now I've made my other backward forward knot. I'm going to leave my backward forward knot string down, and I'm going to take the other one, which is my multicolor string, and I'm going to make a backward forward knot. And if you can notice this, my string is sticking out in between my first knot and my second colored knot. But being with that, I'm going to push this down again and take the other one and cross it on top of the multicolor string and make a backward forward knot. So in this way, I'm connecting those knots so they don't like fall apart. So I'm going to push this one to the back and bring the other string up. So you can do this by taking the other string down the way I'm doing it, or you can decide to take the string up. I prefer to take it down though, just because I can, and I feel like it's easier to bring up and manage that way when I'm on my left, but I'm on my right. Sorry, when I'm on my right. But this is my first time doing on my left in like 3 years, so bear with me. I'm just going to continue doing that. So I make a backward forward knot. I push the string to the back and pick the next string up, cross it over that, and make another backward forward knot. That seems to be what I'm going to be doing, and see how it turned out. So you can notice that the knots are following a pattern. You're like laying on top of each other and you're moving towards the right. It's just how the knots are. I don't think I've ever made a knot that isn't going towards the right. when it comes to colored loops. I just think they normally follow that pattern for no reason though. And this is the size I chose because I'm going to be making, I think it's a double triangle start, so I think it was okay. I might end up losing one or two knots in this because it looks a little big, but that's all for the first two color loop. Now moving on to the three color loop, which is going to be fun. So I got this multicolor string from AliExpress and I've been trying. I've used it in one bracelet so far and I love it. The only thing is that it's really hard. Anyway, so I've extended three strings this time and I moved them to the left because I'm more comfortable on my. Starting with the multicolor string that I was just talking about, and I'm going to go to lilac and then the dark green. So as usual, I'm going to be making a backward forward knot, and this is going to be almost the same thing we did before, just that it has two colors and the other one had three. My voice is a little off. Give me a sec. So now continuing from where we were, I'm going to take the lilac string this time and I'm going to take it under. You understand last time I did on top? Well, not really on top though. But I'm going to be doing this, taking this one from under because I think it might be nice. So putting my string under, take the lilac one on top and I'm going to make a backward forward knot with that. Now because there are more colors involved, you have to be careful not to mix them up. So now I'm going to bring my lilac and my purple string and see what I'm doing carefully. I almost made a mistake. I almost forgot that I'm supposed to go the other way. So now I have to pass it on top of the other two. And then make my backward forward knot. That's what I'm telling you. The more colors you have, the more confusing it might get. But you need to remember to follow your guideline. You know what? I'm going to switch it to taking it from the bottom just so you can show you that there's not really much of a difference. The only thing is that you need to be consistent in the pattern you're following. Because if you're taking it from the bottom, you want everything to be from the bottom. If you're taking it from the top, you want everything to be from the top. If you mix it up, it might end up falling apart. You know when you're making a bracelet and the knots don't connect and just like a lot of space in between, you don't want that to happen to your loop. It will not look fine. And at a particular point, you see spaces. Except you're making a gapping loop. I forgot to show you how to make a gapping loop. That'll be a different tutorial, but backward forward knots. Now I'm going to bring the other one down and make another backward forward knot. You can notice that I'm bringing it down. I'm not like doing it over one. I'm not bringing it down over one. I'm bringing it down over both. So none of them are getting any contact like at all until when I'm making a knot. So when I'm making the knot, the strings are actually going flat against each other, which means they are like entering into each other, like following a particular sweet pattern. I just like it for some weird reason, but they're following a pattern. I'm just going to let you watch this for a bit more, just in case my explanation wasn't enough. You can see from my physical work. And don't be confused that I switched from taking it on top to taking it from the bottom. I just wanted to show you that sometimes if you make a mistake during your loop, it's still okay to continue. You don't have to loosen everything as long as it is okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be okay. At least that's what I do. And so far we have gotten to the middle of the video. Well, not middle exactly though, but if you've enjoyed my content so far, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment if there's anything you would like me to make a tutorial about or make. And if you would like to kindly support my channel, there's a link in the description which says you can buy me coffee. So this is what it looks like at the end. it's not really clear, and I'm like trying to bend it because this string I bought from AliExpress is really, I think this is craft cord 0.8 millimeter. I don't think I thought this through, but I love it. At the same time, I really do like it. Anyway, I'm trying to bend this loop so I can show you how it's going to go. It's going in the same way the last one was going, even though I may pointed them two different angles. It's for this, this is the string I use in this bracelet actually. Anyway, it's for this bracelet again, this exact pattern self. So you can notice here, the loops at the back, they're still going towards the right, which makes it sweet on everything. It's still going towards the right. And these two strings that are sticking out from the back, because we use three colors, so only one is actually staying, the remaining two are kind of sticking out. Don't worry, I'll show you in a different video how to do that. Now onto the next one, which is going to be a section loop. Remember I told you this wasn't a section loop, which is variegated string. I don't have a section loop, so we're going to make you one now. Now the section loop can also be called a linked loop because they're like linked. So here I'm going to be showing you how to do this with a twist though. Stick around for the twist at the end. Anyway, a section loop isn't really much different from a two color or three color loop, but the difference is that I do it a little differently from other people for some reason. I just like it, so I'm going to be showing it to you. I've extended two strings, this two, but I'm going to be adding the shiny brown string back into the bunch, and I'm going to be making a loop over. I'll tell you why. Because it's a section loop, so I don't need it to stick around outside my bracelet. I just need to bring it out when I need it. So I'm going to make a like a half an inch of multicolored string. I'm using a lot of multicolored string. Yes, I'm in a bracelet stump, and this is bringing me out of it slowly. So like I said, half inch of multicolored string. I'm really sorry if you can hear a little noise in the background. My neighbor's generator is on, and I had to film, so I just thought I could reduce the noise. If it's still, if you can still hear it, I'm quite sorry about that. So I've reached a point where I think this is okay, and I'm going to remove my string now. So I'm going to bring out the other string I extended, and I'm going to make one more knot. You know why. So when you're making a section loop, sometimes you're not supposed to like let them cross, like how I did with my two color loop. But I find that when I do that, it's like my bracelet breaks in half. My loop breaks in half. So I'm going to bring out one string, then put the multicolor string back. So you can see where it is. I make my first half of the backward knot. And you can see I'm just going to pull that and add it right back with the other bunch. So it's a clean. It's clean. And we've already swapped loop like an alpha bracelet. And I'm going to continue making another half an inch on this color. It's also a shiny string. I'm feeling like I'm going to get out of my slump soon. Anyway, you don't have to like bring out the second string if you wouldn't like to and just swap it the way I did. But I prefer it because I don't want my loop to break in half the way I usually see people's own doing, and I find that this prevents that from happening. So that was the twist I was talking about actually, just in case I didn't mention that before. So I started this loop with a multicolor string, and I made my first half of the backward knot, but I'm going to bring out my multicolor string, the one I extended, because I would like to end this same loop with the same multicolor string. It's my habit. Anyway, so I'm going to swap it again. You can see this. This time I'm just going to add the shiny string into the bunch and make the backward forward knots. I was a little confused, but backward forward knots. Or I am a little confused sometimes when it comes to making loops, so I like to make them in one sitting. You don't want to stop while making a loop. It might be hard to continue. So anyway, this is it for this section loop tutorial. This is our fourth loop so far. And in a separate tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make a kumihimo loop and a gapped loop. So you can see I ended it with the same, and it looks like it has three colors, but it's kind of cute. It reminds me of pastry. Anyway, you can see this is a section loop, and it doesn't break out in the middle, which is what I wanted. And that's all for this tutorial. So now the next tutorial I'm going to be showing you is a section loop slash a multicolored loop, because it's going to be section but it's going to be multicolored. I'm doing a half and half bracelet, which means one half is going to be like an arrowhead and the other half is going to be a chevron. I've not made this before, so I'm pretty excited about this. I'm trying out different patterns. So I have extended a few strings, but I didn't extend all because because this bracelet only has one string each, apart from the chevron parts. So there's no way I could extend like all my strings, because I'm going to have to fold them in half, which is fun because this is going to be a tutorial to teach you what to do when you don't have strings to fold in half. So I'm going to be showing you what I'm going to do. My voice is off again, sorry. I'm taking it a second time again for extra measures. I pulled too tightly on my strings. I should stop doing that. Anyway, so I'm going to start the first half right now. And I'm going to start the first half with the chevron part. I don't think I should, but anyway, I'm going to do it like this. So you can see that I have 6 strings on one side and 4 strings on the other side, which is how the pattern is, by the way. It wasn't my personal preference. So I'm going to take 2 strings, one ash and one, it's not ash, I don't know what to call it, but it's not white. It's like a mix. Anyway, this one I'm going to be taking. I've extended those two, so I'm going to be using those two for my loop. And now I'm just going to make like how I made it for my 2-color loop. I'm going to make it backward forward now, leave it under or on top, and I make the second one. Which makes it sound very easy though, but this is not the hard part, or this is not the fun part in my case. Anyway, if you can't see, I'm just holding the strings and I'm trying my best to remember that it's not folding in half, so I shouldn't make my loop very large. Anyway, I'm really struggling with the strings here. I haven't done this before. Like, this is supposed to be some kind of fun experiment for our last loop, because sometimes you want to make every you want every color of your loop to show. At the same time, you're scared that it might not work. So I'm wanting to try this. I haven't done this before, by the way. And I never made a half and half bracelet before, because I'm more like full into one pattern, because I don't have a short attention span yet. I'm not very adventurous, and I'm trying to change that because I'm in a slump and I'm trying to do everything possible to bring myself out of that. Anyway, I'm almost done with the half parts because I only want to make about 0.45 inches. Yeah, 0.45 inches, and I'm going to do that for a little while. Anyway, I'm going to arrange the colors that I want my what's it called, my loop to start with. So I want them to be like gradients. So I'm starting from the lightest color, I'm going to the darkest color. So the way I've arranged it, I'm going from right to left. So I've already brought out one string. Now I'm going to use the white and make one backward knot. Then I'm going to remove it and I'm going to complete my forward knot. Now, if you notice, I made the first half of the backward knot before bringing out my string. Not that I brought it out before that time. I'm doing this for a reason, which you could see at the end. So now I'm going to add that back and make the first half of the backward knot. Then I'm going to remove my next string, which in the case would be the lighter pink, and I'm going to make the half of the forward knot, because it's my backward forward knot. Now I'm going to add that string back into the bunch, take the new string I brought out and make the first half of the backward knots. Pull. Now I'm going to bring out the next string, which is like more like the neon pink, and I'm going to make the second half of the knot, which is going to be the forward part. I'm going to pull. Now, let me explain the reason why I'm doing this. So when I add this string back into the bunch and I make the first half of the knot, I'm doing this to secure that string in. So when I bring out the next string, like now, and I make the second half of the knot, you will notice that those strings are not going to match, which makes it a smoother finish for me. So it's not gapping, and at the same time, it's not overlapping on each other. It just rhymed. But you understand, though. So this is the way it is. And okay, I zoomed in a little so you guys can see how it's looking a little better. I think I should have done this from the beginning. My fault, I forgot. Anyway, we're almost done. It's just remaining 2 more strings for me. So I'm going to add this back into the bunch, taking the next string, but I don't know the name of the color. Is it fuchsia pink? I don't think it's fuchsia pink. Anyway, make the first half, bring out our last string, which is all the way up to the left. I'm going to open this and pull it out. Yes. So it's easily brought to the right. And then I'm going to make the second half of the knot, which is the forward part. So close that. And we are at the end of our bracelet. Well, at the end of our loop. So making the last knot now, a backward forward knot, no need to bring out any string since this is going to be the last knot I make here. And there, that is it. So I'm going to untape this. I think this turned out really well, regardless of the fact that it was my first time doing something like that. I think I want to call it the half section, half colored loop. I like that name. I'm probably going to extend this a little bit more on the sides because I want to make a teardrop start. At the same time, it's a little weird because I told you that my bracelet is half and half, so I need strings. So I think I might end up making a triangle start, which is probably the best for this bracelet. Anyway, so we have our 5 loops here. Basic loop, which is what I made for my triangle slash teardrop starts, and then I have my 2 color loop and my 3 color loop, which are going to be double triangle starts each. And then I have my section loop and my fun half section half colored loop. Then again, we've come to the end of this tutorial and I'm happy with this. This is the first part in the series, by the way, and the one that's going to pop up now will be, well, it will be me when I finally made the stars for this bracelet. Anyway, have a nice day. Bye.